What's going on, my people? This is the MMA and Boxing Addicts channel. Today, we're going to be discussing the news, the breaking news, my friends, that's going on with Gene Sasaki. As you guys don't know, if you were boxing fans, but you didn't get to watch the fight, Brian Norman Jr. just recently competed against Gene Sasaki for the WBO welterweight championship of the world, my friends, 147. And in that fight, you had Brian Norman Jr. just absolutely destroy Gene Sasaki, dropping him multiple times, but in the fifth round, he landed that devastating, absolutely devastating left hook, a devastating punch, my friends, that sent Gene Sasaki to the floor. When he hit the floor, his head bounced off the canvas, boom, the back of his head, and it literally put him to sleep, my friends. It turns out that Gene Sasaki has officially lost 6 weeks of memory, my people. God damn. I mean, he wasn't even able to walk out of that arena. They had to stretcher him out, but he was conscious. Thank God. He was saying words and stuff like that. Thank God. But if you look at how he was laying on the floor when he got impacted from that punch, dude, it was absolutely ridiculous. It looks like, he just went through a car crash or something, my friends. Now, we found out that he just lost six weeks of memory, my friends. He doesn't even remember training or leading up to this fight. He doesn't remember even signing the contract to fight against Brian Norman Jr., my friends. God. 6 weeks, he lost memory. Hey, my thoughts on that, my people. I think Gene Sasaki needs to retire. You look at the way he fights and you look at his style, he's going to be getting hit in the head for the rest of his life if he does not change something. He's like a not as skilled fighter, but the same type of style as Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull Cruz goes in there and swinging hooks too, but he at least, is ducking under everything. He's rolling with everything. Gene Sasaki, especially when he's competing in these higher levels, is there to be hit, my friends. Don't get me wrong. It's an exciting style. But Gene Sasaki, my friend, we do not want to see anything bad happen to you. And let me remind you guys, there used to be a Prichard, my friends, This guy was a young phenom of a boxer. A lot of hope for the kid. Going to be a world champion someday. And it got cut short, due to that fight where he was getting hit in the back of the head, ended up going to the hospital, and things didn't turn out well for him, my friends. And I don't want to talk more on that subject, but we've already seen many, many occasions where boxers have trauma in their head from getting knocked out. Even when they retire, this seems to be a problem with boxers. You know what I mean? And you guys, I just don't think Gene Sasaki should do this no more. I think that's it. I think you hang up the gloves, my friend. They're making nicknames now for Brian Norman Jr. You got people calling him Back to the Future. You got people calling him 6 weeks. You know what I mean? 6 weeks, Brian Norman Jr. What he did to Gene Sasaki was absolutely ridiculous, my people. I just wanted to talk about that as we're literally 2 hours away from the Terrence Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez press conference, my people. It's the first one. I can't wait. I don't know if it's going to be that exciting. Who knows what's going on with this fight? As you guys just seen, they were having dinner yesterday with Turkey. We had everybody making reactions to it. I don't know what's going on with them sitting down together and having dinner together. It seems like they're friends. It seems like there's no animosity or any type of, hatred going into this fight. We're not getting none of that. I don't know what they were doing having dinner together, maybe laughing and being friends and having a good time and talking about, oh man, I can't wait for this fight, Terrence. Hey, just let me win, bro. We're going to make the most money that anybody has ever made in the history of boxing, my friends, other than Floyd. You guys, I could imagine Turkey was maybe sitting there with them. Maybe they're disputing a couple contract things. Maybe they're disputing a couple, who's the A side, who's the B side, what's going to happen here, what's going to happen there. It's very possible that Turkey just wanted to sit down with them and talk about a few things. I see people making reactions talking about that we don't want this. We want violence. And I understand. But at the end of the day, we don't even know what's going on with them sitting at that table, my friends. So it's very interesting to see that. I would love to see violence too. I want to see hatred towards each other. I want to see, people coming, talking shit back and forth. But let's wait. Let's wait. Let's give it another hour, 2 hours from right now. Today, Friday, my people. It is going to go down. Terrence Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez press conference. I can't wait, my people. I'm out.